Crosstalk. This is Enterprise Television. Many thanks for joining the conversation this lovely morning. Now, the focus today on Crosstalk centers on Fuji legend Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, better known as K1 the Ultimate, following the highly publicized airport incident at Abuja's Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport sometime this week. Now, according to reports, that's K1, allegedly attempted to board the Lagos-bound ValueJet flight with a flask containing an unidentified liquid, initially claimed to be alcohol, prompting accusations of unruly behavior and endangering safety protocols. In response, the aviation authorities, including the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and the Ministry of Aviation, moved swiftly. It was placed on a no-fly list. A formal investigation was launched and prosecutors were alerted to potentially press charges. And just yesterday, K1 issued a formal apology, taking full responsibility, reiterating his loyalty to Nigeria, and insisting that the flask he held merely contained water used to manage a chronic medical condition. He further denied carrying alcohol, pointing to CCTV footage to support his claim, and then appealed for forgiveness from the presidency, particularly the president, who happens to be his friend, from aviation authorities, from ValueJet, and the public at large. And so the big question this morning is, should K1, the Fuji legend, be held legally accountable for his conduct, or does his apology and purported medical necessity warrant leniency? Again, welcome to Crosstalk. Kingsley Bass is my name. I'm joined this morning by two very patriotic Nigerians. Well, they'll be speaking, for and against, if you like, but they'll be speaking on this matter this morning. I'm joined first by the political commentator, Jimmy. I know he joins me virtually. Many thanks for joining me today, Jimmy.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Kingsley Bassey.
Appreciate that. And social commentator joins me also virtually today, Leke Ogunbowale. Many thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. I suppose both of you gentlemen are big fans of Fuji, the Fuji genre of music, yes? Correct me if I'm wrong. Jimmy?
Definitely.
Leke?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. So you're Fuji lovers and fans, as opposed to of K1, the Ultimate.
It's a very good the trailblazer in the music, in the Fuji industry. So he's quite good at his job, and I love his music too.
Fantastic. You probably rocked to some of those this morning in preparation for this program. Jimmy, I cannot say. Jimmy, probably I've seen Jimmy made a few posts on social media, and some of those would be country music and the rest. And I wonder this young man, but yeah.
No. I'm actually a huge fan of Wasiu Ayinde. I mean, for ages he has been in the music industry, not just Fuji music. I mean, he's someone who has set the pace for younger artists in all genre of music. They all look up to him. I mean, he's a huge role model.
Fantastic.
He's an icon in Nigeria, so definitely somebody that. Of course, attracts a lot of respect, all globally, not just Nigeria, in terms of
that respect and that status, Jimmy Leke. That status has been dragged to the mud following that incident in Abuja this week. So let me begin with you, Leke. Should K1 be held legally accountable for that, for his conduct, for what we've seen in those videos? He let us say, let's put that there. He escaped death by the whisker, or maybe some level, some measure, some degree of injury by a whisker, with the videos that we've seen. But yeah, he's since apologized, and so the big question remains: should he be held rather legally accountable or following his apology, the country should just say, okay, he's done that, he's forgiven, and let's move from that to some other important matters. Leke, let me begin with you.
Yes, I think I want to say he has done the needful, because if you see the depth of his apology, and he didn't waste time about that. Because if we should think of probably trying to get to the law to take his course, the pilot too actually have to be in serious trouble, because there are laws that put the passenger's life at the it's very important that the passenger consider everybody's life, as much as Wasiu guilty. Yes, as much as Wasiu is guilty of messing up on the tarmac, also the pilot has a lot of questions to answer too. Then I want to look at it from the broad point of view, which is how are we treated in our airports? I don't know if we are still coming to that, but I would like us to know that it is not an accident that the likes of Adams or Shomole, the likes of Wasiu Ayinde, are being caught up in the frustration of our airport staffs. It is not a mistake. So a lot of things need to be considered. What led to that? What led to this? And of course, it's so unfortunate that even the pilot, if from what we heard on social media, he started playing the feminist card, saying I was harassed by Mr. Wasiu, he poured alcohol on me. Wasiu went to Canada some years ago to have a surgery on somewhere around his esophagus. It was well publicized, and everybody that is close to him know he had that problem. So one of the bosom friends by name Bolaji Basia, who happens to be former manager that now lives in Canada, brought out a statement yesterday that Wasiu has been advised by his doctors not to get dehydrated at any point in time. And we have also seen the footage of a lot of flights that Wasiu has attended with his flask. I think it only takes some form of understanding and kind of consideration for a man of his status. So if somebody that has health challenge took water from inside the Air Plus waiting room to take along with him, we are not allowed to bring in liquid from that checkpoint. But once you pass that checkpoint, there are bottles, there are water channels everywhere that you can take your water. So I believe what he said, that considering the footage of the CCTV, they are supposed to check the footage of the CCTV and see that he has taken water at one point in time. It has nothing to do with alcohol. I don't even believe in all the vices that we've heard of the Fuji musician. Alcohol has never been his problem. He's a fan of good life, fan of good alcohol, but not getting drunk, as we all know some people to be.
All right. So
yes.
So
I want to believe.
Okay.
Yes, I want to believe we should let the sleeping dog lie at this point.
All right, Jimmy, you've heard from Leke Ogunbowale. He says the Fuji legend has apologized, considering the facts that he's put forward to let's let this slide. What do you say?
Well, unfortunately, the law doesn't. There are laws, provisions of laws, that are there to actually checkmate things like this, and apology doesn't just wash it away. During COVID-19, Funke Akindele violated COVID-19, or she apologized, but she had to face the penalty. Naira Marley also did the same; they had to face the penalty. And again, when you get to the airport, it's a different ball game. Even though you'll be recognized for the fact that you are a public figure and a very prominent person, it doesn't mean that you violate the laws. I do agree with Mr. Leke concerning the fact that, of course, we've seen him several times with that flax, but then allowing it to get to that point where it turned chaotic because, of course, the airport authorities, the airline, officials have to do the needful. We do know that you can't take anything above 100 millimeters. You can't board with it. There should be somewhere between when he, passed most of where he stepped from different checkpoints to another check-in area. There should be a point where, of course, everybody should he should realize that he's on the spotlight. No matter what happened, the officials who stopped him, the people who accosted him, and the rest, we don't know their names, we don't know where they are. So it's his responsibility to conduct himself in the right way. Aviation, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Act, I think 83 points it out that you cannot do such a thing. You cannot behave in such manner. Now, if it was just a flask of containing water or alcohol, water he claimed, and they are also claiming alcohol. If that was just what happened, and of course, when they told him he couldn't board, and he left without any chaos, that would have been a different ball game. But he stood right in front of the jet and was stopping it from moving. In legal terms, that is hijacking. And if you want to, well, it's a long shot anyway, but if you want to use the Terrorism Act, that is terrorism. You do not do that. We also saw the video of the officials pleading with him. They all recognized him, they knew who he was, and he refused. And at point stood right in front of the jet, not allowing it to taxi and move. You're not the only passengers there. There are other passengers, and they're all Nigerians. So my point is that we can't because he apologized, give him a slap on the wrist and say, that's why the FAA, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, and of course the NCAA, have recommended that he be prosecuted. He's now on a no-fly list indefinitely, which is the first step. But we must go further than that.
It was for 6 months, wasn't it? According to the
minister.
It
was for 6 months, but yesterday they announced that it was indefinitely until pending investigation is concluded.
Okay.
And I think that's a good step for it. Let's be frank with ourselves. All of this happened because Palm One in Wasiu Ayinde felt that he has the network, he's a prominent person, he has the connection. Why would you stop me? Who are you? Do you know who I am? Those are the things that we know.
Let's turn back to Leke. Yes. Let's turn very quickly to Leke. Leke, you've heard from Jimmy. Jimmy says, oh well, the law is the law. You cannot do this, apologize, and then think that the country, the law should let this slide. How do you respond to that, Leke?
It's at the discretion of the authorities to weigh into the matter and probably go ahead and try prosecuting. But guess what? Everything done right there. The Terrorism Act is bailable to maybe 45 million. The obstruction of the plane from moving is 500,000. So we're talking of bailable offenses. The terrorism is bailable or 20 years imprisonment. The slap in the wrist is 2 months. So let him face the consequences. But if I am to choose to decide on my own discretion, I want to believe we should let go, considering the fact, the kind of person he is in the society, and taking it upon himself. Because I'm telling you, the lady, the pilot lady, will, just as I call her pilot Kogberegbe, she doesn't care. She will have to face the consequences alongside too.
Going by your logic, you want to let this slide for the Fuji legend Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, Kwam one, but you want the lady pilot to face the music for taxing while people were right in front of the plane.
For our unprofessional conduct, that gentleman will have lost his life if not for probably the man is fit or sheer providence. If not, the pilot seems not to care who is close to the plane or not. She just wants to move, and very lucky of her. But still, if what is good for Wasiu should also be good for the Iranti lady, Iranti pilot.
You did mention to Leke that, considering his status, his personality, and since he has apologized, this should slide. Shouldn't that be the reason, considering the personality here, shouldn't that be the reason for prosecuting agencies to make an example, especially considering too that this man, the Fuji legend, is someone who is quite close to the president, very close to the president. In fact, there have been a clip has resurfaced. He recently lost his mom, and he had a conversation with the president where it was recorded, and that conversation was recorded, circulated via social media. That has since resurfaced, and some person saying, "Oh, this is one of the reasons why he would do that." Boldly daring officials at the airport from stopping him, or while they stop him from boarding. So, shouldn't this be the exact reason why he should be prosecuted, to make example of people with such conduct?
I understand where you are coming from, sir, but the whole idea is it's not. It will be unfortunate at this point in his career to get being pronounced guilty and probably being pardoned from the president at a later date. But what I'm just saying is, what is good for the goose, if you apply it to the gander, it's going to have a reciprocal effect on the pilots.
Jimmy?
So,
Jimmy, how do you respond to that?
I do share the same, sentiment with Mr. Leke concerning the pilot. Of course, she endangered his life, not just his life, the life of other people on the tarmac, But then we'll have to wait for further investigation. Her license has been, sanctioned.
Withdrawn, temporarily.
Indefinitely. Of course, we'll have to know who authorized her. Did she get any information from the tower to move? That aside, maybe if her lawyers can come forward, if anything has to do, they may use, because I do know that for pilots, there are some certain rules. Let me therefore, want of word, rules of engagement. What do you do in such an instance? Do you move immediately? And of course, she may say, this is part of her training. If anything that looks like a hijack, that the plane is about to be hijacked, she needs to move, even without the tower alerting her. There are things like that her lawyers might actually, unearth to say, she's justified for doing that. In such situation, whether it's Wasiu Ayinde or a real, hijacker or terrorist, this is what you do at that moment. The plane was already shot. The plane was already locked. The time was going, and of course, she has to meet up with her time as well. You know how flight is. Once you are scheduled to take off at a particular time, you need to take off. So, I mean, many of this will come and play when the time comes, and, And, well, we have to recognize that Wasiu Ayinde is not just a friend of the president. Yeah, I saw that video that went viral showing him when the president was condoling him. He's not just a friend of the president. He's also friends to all politicians from all parts of the country. That's the reason why, as at this point, the likes of Peter Obi and Atiku haven't issued a statement condemning him. Recall that they do things like that, especially when it's related to the president. They all know about, this is somebody we just can't. He's all friends with them. But that doesn't mean that, of course, the president is the commander-in-chief, is the most important of all of them. That's why everyone, and of course, is really friends with the president, So it's not a thing of, let's set a deterrent. It's a thing of ensuring that the law is above, nobody is above the law, So it's not, I don't see it as an issue of, he's connected, and therefore maybe the president, they will let him go or whatever. This is a time for those in authority, the IGP, the AGF, to show that nobody is above the law. Even the president of the country is not above the law, So let the law take place. He will have his day in court, and of course, with his lawyers, prove otherwise, That is what I want to see. And this is an opportunity for the government to really show that, he's one of ours, very close to the presidency, very close to us, very close to he's a member of the APC, but we must show not just in Nigeria, globally, because this has gone global. A lot of people have seen what happened, and I don't know, even Wasiu Ayinde, probably there will be more eyes on him in other airports right now, especially in the western part of the country. Well, I just say I don't know. But this is the opportunity for the authority to actually show that nobody is above the law. Let him face his day, and let him face the courts. And of course, just like others, the Funke Akindele I mentioned, just like, even though he's bigger than them, fine.
Leke was of the opinion that, at this stage of his career, it would be unfortunate to have him, for example, convicted, sent to prison maybe, and then, what do you have to say about that?
It's quite unfortunate at this time of his career, he is behaving in such way. I mean, in this time of, Wasiu Ayinde shouldn't be seen acting that way, and laying a bad example for a lot of people. That's what I'm saying, So if, of course, at this stage in his life, he shouldn't, we consider that any conviction, come on, it's Wasiu Ayinde after all, But yeah, it's Wasiu Ayinde after all. He should have set an example. He knows better. This is not the first time he's traveling. This is not the time for him. Even the ValueJet, this is not the first time he's actually, flying on that particular airline. Then why this time, So right now, Kingsley, the talk is not even about whether the content of the flask. The talk right now is standing in front of the jet and refusing it to. It's like, me standing in front of a Molue or BH and telling you won't move because my ticket is one thing, and telling them you can't move. That's the thing. That's a behavior we associate with hooliganism and the rest. That is it.
Right.
I'm really disappointed in what Fan One did. But then he has to face
there are those who Jimmy have said too that in that moment he probably was, emotions will rise. He probably was vexed by the fact that he was stopped. That he has crossed several checkpoints.
Being vexed.
Mr. Leke, Oshomola's case is different from Wasiu Ayinde's case. Oshomola's own was that
standing at the gates, not allowing.
Oshomole claims, and of course it was backed by evidence, that he came 30 minutes before the airplane, before boarding, and they didn't allow him. That's what he said. If he had been there 10 minutes or thereabout, probably. He said he was there 30 minutes and they stopped him, that he was even rushing, and they stopped him. That's why he did what he did. What Wasiu Ayinde own is that he went on the tarmac. And I mean, when boarding is done, I don't know the reason why, except you're flying privately with a private jet, I don't see what a civilian is doing on the tarmac. That is a no-go area for civilians. But he was right there on the tarmac, stopping the plane from taxiing,
let's turn to
from moving.
Leke,
So what I'm saying is that,
yes,
I mean, he needed to set an example. He needed temperament or whatever. I don't think King Wasiu Ayinde should be emotional in such a way. All you need to do is, because you have the connection, you have the network, you have everything. He could have just said, fine, step back and make your calls to the people that matter. Look at how they are treating me.
Some will say he's human after all. Let me turn to Leke. How do you respond to Jimmy's point of view there?
You know, Jimmy is absolutely right in his analysis. What I'm saying is, if I have the opportunity to be at the helm of such a affair, with his apology statement and letter, I will let fly. Because I have been victims of frustration in Nigerian airports a lot of time. Once you can be as cool as ice block, but these people will get under your skin and boil you up almost 100-degree boil. You know what I mean? At a point at the local airport, I was supposed to fly at 4. They sent me a message that I will be flying at 6:30. You know when I left the airport? I left it 2 a.m. 2:45 a.m. I got to Lagos 3:15 or so. 3:30 or so. In the middle of it, I was so calm. But at a point, I understand why people are so temperamental in some of this situation.
Yeah.
Because at a point, I got so annoyed also. So sometimes they get under your skin and get you frustrated. That's what I'm saying. That's by the way. Then Jimmy was busy talking about our international reputation. There's nowhere it doesn't happen, my brother. If you see what Donald Trump is doing to the United States, to the whole U.S. citizens, you will know he doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care. He does his things the way he wants to be done. So there's nowhere it doesn't happen. All his friends, Epstein, Elon Musk, they all do what they want. All the Abbotts in Texas, you know, they all do what they want, and some of these things happen. This is a local flight. It's our local airport. So if we are taking it international, it's so unfortunate that we are doing that. But there's nothing that is unheard of, you know. A major problem is it's not supposed to get this far. There are a lot of things that are involved. What happens to the Nigerian police or uniformed men at that point in time? If a baggage loader is talking to me to find solution to such matter, I believe it's so unfortunate that it's a baggage handler that is talking to me when I have such problem. There's no police around.
Is that the territory of the police, though? Is that the territory of the police? We have other officials who man, you know, such posts, who are in control, you know, of such territory.
Maybe top FAN officials and
exactly.
We are talking about boys that are traffic guys and all sorts. They might not be able to handle conflict like that. And from some of those videos, I want to believe it's more of the poor versus the rich. You know, just like every poor man in Nigeria thinks the rich is his problem. And the rich try everything possible to make sure the poor laughs or vice versa. The same thing was happening in some of those voices underneath the video, saying, "Shebi, you say you be big man. Oh yeah, now wait, now we can kill you." What would have happened if Wasiu Ayinde was actually drunk and he doesn't know the wing of the airline was coming? Are we going to be talking the same thing we are talking now?
And that would have been a very disastrous situation to handle.
A different story entirely.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, let's wrap now because of time. Jimmy, I'll come to you in just 60 seconds. Your final thought. You've said so much already. Your final thought on this particular conversation. You said he should face the wrath of the law, but then how do you wrap, considering some of the responses too from Leke?
Well, I think he should face the penalty. He should have his day in court. But unfortunately, I don't think that will happen anyway. And the reason why I feel that should happen is to send a message to to everyone that the law is the law. No one is above the law. Also consider the fact that when this initially came up, the video went viral.
Yeah.
His media person released a statement and saying nothing like that happened. In fact, the airport authority were even begging him and got him a private jet to fly him. So imagine now when when they saw that the heat was on, that was when he decided that, oh, I'll have to apologize. After investigation was done by the FAAN and of course the NCAA, he saw that there's no way I'm going to escape this. Nobody's sweeping it under the rug, and he decided to apologize. He could have done something there and there. You have definitely, he does have the phone number of Festus Keyamo. You step back, don't allow it to escalate to that point, of even walking down the tarmac. Everything just boils down to the fact that he felt that I'm bigger than all these people. A whole me, Wasiu Ayinde, you're stopping me from entering the plane. That's just what happened.
All right.
And it shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't have a society where some people feel above the law. Kingsley, if it was you and I that did such a thing, the headline would have been "Madman trying to stop plane from flying." True or false? That's what they'll say.
Or terrorist.
Or a terrorist. That's what some papers, some blogs would say. They'll say some terrorist. So that's the thing. In the eyes of the law, we are the same. So please, I think whatever happens, I don't think that. I think he will get off with a slap on the wrist. They might look at him and feel he's a first offender. He's never done anything. He doesn't have a criminal record and whatever. But I want to see him caught. I want to see his lawyers and everything. Let the judge and the rest hear his plea and the whatever, and then decide that, okay, you're a first offender. We recognize your how prominent you are, your contribution to the country. This is what's going to happen. Funke Akindele and Naira Marley got the same slap on the wrist, based on their profile, and of course, so the same thing should happen to him. He should be in court.
Leke, finally, your thoughts as we wrap.
I stand with the fact that as a first offender, with his apology, he should rather be pardoned at this point in time. Him calling his brother the owner of the ValueJet, being a Nigerian, being an Ijebu man, the matter has been settled at home. And that Shonaman will have apologized privately. He too would have said, I'm sorry for what happened. So any other thing that happens henceforth is just to set the record straight, just as to set a record, just as me as advised. But setting a record with a 65-year-old man that's never had any criminal record, despite all the vices, and he has never been, has never embezzled money or done anything. I think those kind of people should be given kudos, but subsequently be punished one way or the other. He deserves the MON. He shouldn't be given.
All right. So there you go. In private corners, several persons in WhatsApp groups and the rest, they've said, oh, they've seen him do this, they've seen him do that. No, a particular friend who has been hammering on the fact that she's particularly pained. She's particularly pained about one incident.
Yes, Sebastian, he should probably become an ambassador for the airline.
Oh, right. It should be made one, right? Oh, well. I was just saying that a particular colleague and friend, she has a grudge with the Fuji legend because he had knocked someone on stage publicly while he was performing. And so she feels like that too was a bad conduct. I'm just saying this, to follow.
How can you say that? The madness on stage, nobody can stand it. So let's keep quiet about that. That's a conversation for another day.
So the stage madness is different from the airport madness, huh? But yeah.
Everybody can come out on stage.
Okay. We've been talking about the incident noticed or seen, which has now gone viral with several clips across social media platforms of Fuji legend, popularly called Kwam1 or K1 the Ultimate, happened within this week. He yesterday apologized, and the big question today has been whether he should be prosecuted or be pardoned. Just with this public apology, he should be publicly pardoned, and everybody say, okay, the pat in the back, gentlemen, don't worry, you can go, don't worry about this. The slander, the talks, all of that should stop, and let's move forward. Well, you've heard from my guest, social commentator Leke Ogumbo, who says, oh well, let this slide, let this man go. He's the first offender, he's apologized. And then political commentator Jimmy, says, no, the law is the law. Let him have his day in court. And indeed, let his lawyers now begin to plead for some level of leniency. Well, you can stop by the comment section. Let's know what you think of this, and indeed let's continue to monitor development in the country, social political development in the country, and we'll have such further conversations here on Crosstalk. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining the conversation today and for your kind thoughts on the program. Leke, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Jimmy, day. Yeah, you too. Jimmy, many thanks.
Always a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you very much.
Have a fantastic one, gentlemen. Lagos, whether you're watching from Lagos, from Nigeria, from the capital, Abuja, from Port Harcourt, Calabar, from Ijebu, where the man in the picture is from. Stop by the comment section and let's know. It feels like we need to stop by Ijebu one of these days to have some...
Always... You are most welcome.
That's the Ijebu man there talking. Okay. You would book the flights. You would book the.
Flight doesn't come to Ijebu.
That doesn't get there yet.
A red carpet. We're waiting for you on the red carpet.
No problem, sir.
We would have to make that work. But thank you, gentlemen. All right, then. Stop by the comment section. Let's know what you think. Kingsley Bassi is my name. Until next time. On Crosstalk. Have a fantastic one and keep watching Enterprise Television. Bye for now.